Live. All right, we should be live. Oh yes, so there's an indicator on the video saying that we are live right now. All
Yeah,
right, cool. So let us do some admin work while we still have some time.
go ahead.
Yeah, and then let's welcome everyone who are here in between as well. Okay, nice. Okay, so one thing I realized is that if you're doing this and you're watching the Facebook Live, then you will actually hear double audio. So you need to mute the Facebook
We go
Live.
live. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because you've had quite a number of sessions today, if I'm not
No lah,
mistaken.
only three.
Wow, only three, bro. I think one for me very tiring.
True, you have a point.
Yeah. Okay. So the time now is 9:30. We are about to start our session. Meanwhile, we're just giving some time for our audience, our friends, or KarFei's fans to join in. And we're going to be talking about something really unique, something really special and close to my heart as well on people management. So if you've already seen some of the banners that I've shared earlier, for those of you who have joined, we are going to tackle that main question: how to push for performance at the same time taking care of the team's well-being. So I'm really super pumped because not only am I getting someone who knows about this topic really well, but he's also the master and also a practitioner in this area. And you definitely want to hear him. If you've not seen him or heard about him, well, this is a time you get everything, from this solid 40 minutes to 1 hour session with him, right? For those of you who are here with us, I saw a few of you already logged in. Please say hi so that we can give you a shout out as well. We'd love to recognize those of you here with us. And we just want to engage, have a conversation. And this is a very interesting topic. I love this topic. We've been talking about it for years with friends at workplace. Sometimes people ask me to shut up. So this time, I'm not going to be the one talking too much. I'm going to have someone talking about it. And then you guys can actually hear and chip in as well. All right. So who is this handsome gentleman on my right side? He is Coach KarFei. Again, he has been really known in this space where he talks about people, culture, people management, leadership, breakthrough, and a lot of areas in this size. Very excited. I'm not going to take too much time. Let me just pass the ball over to KarFei. KarFei, you want to say hi to our friends?
Hi everyone, welcome and thank you so much for having me. Really, if you are doing this and spending your Saturday night tuning in to me, I'm really grateful, and I want to be able to add as much value as I can to all of you who are tuning in and listening on how to manage your team better, how to help your team to be able to perform better from a not from an HR process or policy point of view, but more of a understanding human psychology and human behavior, so that you can help your team to perform better at work, and so that they stay motivated to be with you in the workplace. So that's what I really want to add value to. So I would love to see questions. I don't want to be the only one talking, or me and Jeffro, just two-person talking for the whole night. This whatever that I'm sure I will be sharing are things that's applicable to you only if it works in your context or circumstances. So in order for us to be able to understand more about what you're facing and so on, your questions would work better for us to be able to help you even more. So I'm really excited for this.
Definitely, and yes, very true. We would love to hear from you, especially if you're taking your time on a Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Not 7, but 9:30 p.m. to really join in and chill out with us, and also to tune in such a topic, right? There must be something that you're looking for, and we hope to give you as much as we can. We have Yan Tan saying hello.
Hi, Yan.
Yeah. Right. So
Nice to see you.
I know Yan, and she loves learning. This is one topic that she wanted to hear about as well. So good for you, Yan. You're with the master over here, like I mentioned. All right.
We just briefly talk about it as well. If you want to.
Oh, see? Right. So for those of you who have joined us, there's quite a number of you. Please say hi. Say hi in the comments, and so that we can give you a shout out as well. We want to hear from you. We want to talk with you. And better still, if you can give us a like and share this so that many people out there can actually learn from this. This is talking about leadership. We're talking about people management. And the hottest topic that I've asked around is how do we push for performance at the same time take care of the team, right? So this is one topic that you want to tune into. Oh,
Hi,
we
Sui.
have we have Sui saying hi too. All right, cool. Okay, so for our audience here, KarFei, I think some of them may not know you. Perhaps you can introduce a little bit on yourself.
Well, hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I think, that means that I'm not that famous, obviously. But my name is KarFei. I have been, coaching for the past 9 years. What I do a lot is that I do a lot of work on leadership and executive coaching as well as life coaching. What it means is that over the past 9 years, I've been working with people ranging from multinational companies, from like American Express, KPMG, Accenture, and IBM, and so on and so forth, to startups, to entrepreneurs, and to individuals who have high net worth, in helping them to become better as a person as well as to become better as a leader. And fundamentally, with my background in psychology and leadership coaching and human psychology, I personally believe that the reason why people are not performing at work and the reason and how we can get the most out of people is actually by understanding their thoughts and their psychology. At the end of the day, the reason why we do certain things, the reason why we behave or act in a certain way is because of our inner motivation, our inner desire. And that comes from our own psychology, right? Our own belief, our own thinking, our own emotions. So that's what I'm really interested in. So over the years, I've spoken in different continents about how to make teams perform better. I've spoken in different countries on how can we, use certain tools and strategies and techniques to help people to be able to perform better at work. And at the same time, I also do a lot of keynotes and speeches in different parts of the world to help people to just become better in their life. So I believe that, one of the key things I personally believe is that there is no work-life balance. Work-life balance doesn't exist. Work is a part of life. So we need to think of it from a work-life integration point of view. So that's what I've been doing. And, some of my credentials, I'm a master NLP practitioner. I'm the first Malaysian to be on the Forbes Coaches Council. So I've done a lot of different kind of work in different continents for the past 9 years already. So hopefully I'll be able to share, my insights or my learnings from all these experiences with all of you so that you can take it and use it with your team.
Wow. Well, that's a power pack introduction. All right. Well, KarFei, I know you from a few years back, and then we only got connected about a year or two ago. And I briefly went through some of your biographies, just seeing what you've done, and I've always been amazed with what you've achieved. But some of and I don't want to spoil it for them. I want them to hear it from you. My big question is, what got you started in this area itself?
To be fair, I didn't kind of start into this area kind of like by choice. I started coaching by choice, that's for sure. But I started coaching because I wanted to coach students and university students who are lost in their life, and that's the only reason why I started coaching, is because when I was in university, I had a coach, and if you guys want to know who my coach is, you should check out my podcast, because he was my podcast guest. And I managed to have a coach, and that kind of helped me a lot in me looking at my life very differently. It helps me to see and have clarity about what I want to do with my life. And at that point onwards, I was like, if someone can do that for me, why can't I do it for other people in university? And that's the only reason why I started getting my coaching certification and started to dive deep into coaching. But after doing that for a few years, then it was then that the whole trend of companies trying to understand and identify how to work with Gen Y, or how to work with millennials, right? And that was like 9 years ago, right? And it was that time that I started to get my breakthrough into the corporate world, because I have no corporate background, and so corporate doesn't look kind of like get me to train. But what happened was that my background in training, coaching, and mentoring young people and students wants to get me into the corporate. And that was my first breakthrough, which is like, oh, so all these companies right now, yeah, they talk about training and development and so on, but one of the big challenges they have is actually understanding people. And at the time, it was understanding Gen Y and millennials. And that was the core area of expertise of me back then. And they got me to go in and speak and talk about all these things. And that was when I realized, wow, so actually in any organizations, billion-dollar, multi-million, multinational startups, small, medium enterprises, everyone has the same issue, and that's people, right? And
Yes.
It was then that I started to, you know what, let's dive deeper into it. It was then that I got into leadership coaching, getting myself to be a certified Marshall Goldsmith leadership coach, to be able to help organizations to build leadership, to use human psychology and thoughts or the mind so that people can become better in the workplace. So that was kind of how I kind of right now do what I do, advising, coaching, training corporates to be able to make their team a high-performing team in the workplace.
Wow. Very interesting. And you talk about a term, high performing team. Now this is a very sexy word that I've been Googling for the past year or so. I like this term. I know what it means, but a lot of people still think that it's a very nice word, but when you ask them to do something, they don't know what to do. So what in high performing or high performance itself, maybe you could give us a little simple context on what this means.
Well, for me, high performance means there's two aspects to it, right? One aspect of it is it's individual, and the other aspect it's team. High performing individuals and high performing teams, right? So from a team point of view, at the end of the day, performance in organizations means achieving the goals that you have set yourself to achieve, right? As simple as that. If you achieve your goals, you are high performance, right? But on the other hand, this is where it gets tricky, right? What about individuals? How do you make sure that individuals are high performing in the workplace? And this is where, I think a lot of leaders need to learn, or a lot of leaders need to be able to find out, is there are two things to look at high performing individuals. Number one, people who can, have the skills and expertise to deliver exactly what you need, right? And that's the high performing individuals. And the second element to look at it is that when this person has the technical skills or competencies to be a high performing team member or individual, what about his or her life? That for me is the key, because in the past, most of the time we look at only high performing team, and then when we look at individuals, we need to make sure that individuals are high performing in the workplace. But I think the trend right now, or what is really important, is actually how can we make sure that individuals are also high performing in their own life. When I say high performing, it can be as simple as we know that our team members who are performing in the workplace, they're crushing it, they're achieving their goals, they're helping the team, they're helping the organization, they are also managing their own life well. What does that mean? Better health and fitness. It also means better relationship at home. It also means having personal goals that they want to achieve in their life. It also means having clarity about who they are as a person before being audit manager or HR manager or engineer, whatever that is, right? So that, for me, it's the key components of high performance, team and individual.
Wow. And you talk about, performance in your own life. And for those of you here who don't know, KarFei has a very interesting life. If you follow him on Instagram, his stories, you'll see him doing a lot of things, from coffee making, from spending time with his wife. And I think you bought a couple of new things from IKEA. I don't know what you're constructing yet. I haven't seen that development. I've only saw the pile of boxes there.
Yeah, I mean, you should check my Instagram. I've completed already. But it was it's a weekend project for me. And I think the reason why you brought it up, it's essentially for me, I have very clear goals in many areas of my life. And I wouldn't say I'm the best, highest performance person in life, because I still think that as humans, there are things in life that we can improve on a consistent basis. But for me, I have very clear goals about what I want to achieve in my life. Number one, it's my passion and for coffee. It's well known. People know know everything, right, about my passion in coffee. Second, it's that, for me, home is a very important place. What do I mean by that is that I have very clear rules with my wife that we cannot bring our work into our bedroom. So for me, that it's a clear distinction. The moment I step into my bedroom, that means I turn off from work. That for me, it's what I mean by high performance, being able to turn off when I choose to. I have that consciousness and I make it a point to be able to do that, right? And this is something that I feel, a lot of organizations or individuals in the workplace are not doing. It's like, their brain and their mind is being consumed by work every single day, that it kind of stresses them out. And that, stress is, when it's, stress is a U-shaped thing, right? If it's too much, it kind of backfire on you. So that for me is high performance, right? Having clear goals about what you want in different areas of your life, that will help you to become an even better performer in the workplace.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we have a friend here saying, so Junie say his story, coffee.
Yes, my Instagram story, you can see it.
Oh yes, very interesting. You got machines, you got so many things. And I don't know whether coincidentally it's also because your name is called KarFei. In Chinese, coffee.
I don't know. Maybe I used to ask my mom if, when she was pregnant with me, did she take too much coffee? And that's the reason why she gave me the name KarFei, which sounds like coffee for any international people who don't understand. But I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, and we have a few more friends commenting as well. We have Felix who's saying, "Hey dudes," and Deborah that's saying, "Hey guys."
Hello.
We have Naomi, a friend of mine saying, "Buddy Jeffro, hey, hi, welcome to the show." All right. So for those of you here who have missed the early introduction, no worries. You can always watch the replay on this. We've covered, even in the short bit, I have not even jumped into the main things. We've already covered a couple of things like high performance. What does it actually mean? What it actually means in life and also at workplace. So it's very interesting. And if you've not heard of KarFei speaking, right? For him, like almost every now and then, even the simplest stories or sentences that he says, I always got one teaching point. That's what I love about him. Like everything else, you can really learn a lot just by simply speaking with him.
I think maybe that's why people say, I look older than my age. Always very philosophical.
Well, I think that's a good point. In really learning a lot of things from yourself. And I truly respect that because that's what I aspire to be as well. Now, so we talk about certain things like life, having a balance, and you mentioned one thing, being able to turn off when you choose to. That's such an important and critical thing. And I don't know for change. Right now we're in somewhat MCO or off MCO. We don't know what's the exact thing right now, and people are transitioning here and there. Some people are forced to turn off. Some people are on turbo mode, like the whole thing. So my question, I want to actually also know, how has this period been for you? How have you adapted to it?
I think in that short 6 weeks, more or less, of us being in the whole quarantine and so on, it has been a roller coaster ride, actually. Literally, like, when it first all happened, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm fine. I'm an introvert, so I can totally stay home as long as you need me to. More than happy to, right? So in the beginning, it was pretty good. Like, you know what? Stay at home, it's fine. I have my work to do. I continue doing my work. And it was then that I kind of made some purchases for my home because I wanted to be able to do more things at home. I have a bit more free time to cook, to bake, and so on and so forth. And then that period kind of start coming down after the second, third week or so, because it was the time that I received actually a lot of emails and messages from my clients. So I do a lot of corporate coaching and corporate training. And 2020 was supposed to be a great year. I have multiple projects lined up in April, May, June, and July, all lined up. No, actually until August. All lined up, planned, fixed date, everything is done. Some of it I haven't paid up front, but I'm starting to receive emails, messages, WhatsApp from all my clients saying that, things are being put on hold, things are shelved. The biggest one for me was, I lost a big contract with a big oil and gas company here in Malaysia for some of the trainings I've been doing for them. And that was an instant loss. And it was a 90% almost signed agreement. And right now it's being shelved, and we will only rediscuss that project probably end of Q3 or beginning of Q4 in 2020. And that kind of crushes everything, because that just changes everything, right? Like it kind of showed that, oh wow, it kind of affected me as well, like, being in the training industry, doing coaching in different parts of the world as well. So it's a direct big hit. So it was a really, really tough time in that week itself, with all my clients coming and so on. But obviously, I started to kind of go into more of a problem solving mode rather than getting stuck to it. So I went on to kind of like talking to my clients, helping them to kind of work on different things, adding value to them for free, just by doing online talks for the internal team and so on, and then creating my online group coaching program. And that's when things start to get better again. It was then that I realized, and I started the online coaching program because, number one, there are a lot of people coming to me asking me for advice, and I see a lot of my friends are directly being hit by this whole COVID-19. I have friends who's getting like 20% to 50% pay cut. Wow. I have friends who got retrenched. I have friends who left their job before COVID-19, before this whole thing that happens, and right now struggling to get a job. So a lot of people around me are getting hit by all these things. And I truly believe that if it is happening to my close friends, people who are close to me, that means this thing is happening to everyone out there on the street, right? So it was then that I decided, you know what? I'm giving out a scholarship to coach people for the next 9 months for 5% of what I usually charge my clients for, right? And I have people signing up, and I'm right now doing group coaching with them every month and giving them assignments and so on, so that they can discover back their strength, their passion, and their purpose in life, so that they can keep going, right? And then that program kind of really picked up, and right now I'm kind of like, oh wow, a lot of people need it, so I'm trying to open up more groups and so on. So that kind of helped me out. So this whole 6 weeks has been up and down and up, and I personally think that it will still be a challenge. Nothing's going to go back, or nothing's going to ever be the same again, right? So we have to learn how to adapt, innovate, and kind of go with what's happening, and just challenge ourselves to do better, and let go of certain old things that might not be working anymore for us.
Well, yeah, it's a part of the choice, and I think I can relate, is because I'm also hearing a lot of different stories, coming from different friends. Some lost a job, some are on hold projects, they're supposed to be mobilized, but then now they're on bench, especially for those in the hospitality industry. Wow, immediate, there's nothing else that they can do, really. And let me ask the audience here, right? For those of you who've been listening in so far, and for those of you who have just newly joined us, just say hi to us, because we'd like to also give you a shout out, recognize that you are spending some time with us. But for those of you who have been here since earlier, and we talk about this part, 2020, in most cases, even my case, we initially talk about like, it's going to be beautiful, right? All the plans all done, everything all line up as if, we're going to win Grammy Awards. That was my expectation. I want to win Grammy Awards kind of equivalent, right? How many of you here felt the same way? You had your 2020 all sort of like planned out. You sort of have an understanding of what you want to get, and then boom, everything changed. And if you're feeling the same thing, just comment yes, so that we know that you are in the same position. Then we can share more relevant information and stories to help you out as well. Right. So that I think that would be great. Joseph says hi. Missy Miao says hi.
Hi, Missy.
All right, great. Thank you for joining us. And again, you taking time to come and spend time with us, it means a lot to us, and these are some of our favorite topics. And tonight you'll be hearing from the master himself. All right. So we talked a little bit on the balance part. So now, more importantly, is how an individual can actually strike a balance between the work and home, seeing that right now there's a distort in terms of like, I need to work remotely, or some people need to work remotely. How do they work this balance? And the reason why I ask this is some people go on a turbo mode, right? They start working and they lost sense of time of the start and end date, and they start working way harder than before.
Well, again, I just want to emphasize that sometimes there's no wrong of you kind of like really hustling and working really hard. I salute people who can work 24 hours nonstop. Actually, I am the kind of person, if I have nothing to do, right, I can go full on and not burn out, right? I can do that, but I made it a conscious choice to not to, because most importantly, I think everyone who's listening, or even if you're a team leader in an organization, even if you are like managing big teams and so on and so forth, I want you to just remember that at the end of the day, we only have one thing. We only have our life. And just think about it, right? If we spend 24/7 of our time, just working and allowing work or allowing our work title to define who we are, that's pretty sad. Just think about what story are you going to tell your future kids or your future grandchildren? Nothing much except for work, right? So that for me, it's a big realization. There was then where I realized, you know what? I need to learn how to turn off. I need to learn how to strike the balance between working really hard, achieving my goals, with actually enjoying my life, right? And for me, the biggest way for me to do it, it's number one, looking at all different areas of your life, right? Like health and fitness, your personal growth, your love relationship, your social life, your finances, your career, and overall quality of life. I know a lot of people who are working really hard, but then every time when they leave office, when they go back to work, they feel that they don't have a life. They don't feel that, oh, I'm actually living a good life. Living a good life doesn't mean it has to be expensive. Let me tell you that it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be very simple, right? So looking at all these different areas of life and start making small changes in these areas, that is when I believe that someone is living a high performing life. And for me, it's different, different categories and different ways to do it. And that's the reason why number one is like I said, I made it very clear that there's no work devices in our bedroom. That's number one. Number two, I have a space where I work. So every time when I want to finish my work, especially if I work from home, and in the past 6 weeks, is I walk out of the room and I close the door, right? So no more office. I can't see my office anymore. It is shut. Then I walk out, I'll go to the balcony, I'll do whatever I need in the living room, in the balcony, or wherever that is. So because at the end of the day, what really forces a lot of people right now to work so hard at home and so on is because of the environment. And the reason why people are like not able to turn off is because the place you work, the place you eat, the place you sleep, for some people are the same place, which is their own bedroom. I understand you might not have the whole house to yourself, right? But that's even more important, that even in your own bedroom, make sure that you have a corner for work. And then when you need to go to sleep, you go to the bed, shut your laptop, keep it under the drawer. It can be as simple as that, right? And if you need to eat, don't eat in the same room. Go out. Ideally, if you're taking time off, relaxing, maybe don't even look at your laptop. Use an iPad or use your phone to watch a TV or whatever. Obviously, unless you don't have a choice, then you have to use a laptop, then by all means go ahead. But switch a different location or a different position. If this is where you work, switch to somewhere else where that's your leisure time. So being very clear about your environment helps you to switch off, or helps you to kind of create that awareness in your mind.
And that's very true. And why I'm agreeing fully to this is because I fall under that process. The initial days, I was really, really excited. I work on full on. So I got up at 8 o'clock and I sleep at 11 p.m. Right? So you can imagine 8 to 11 just full on working. I realized after a week, I was starting to burn out crazy. The 10th day, the 11th day, I could not get anything done at all. The brain just shuts off by itself. And I look at my desk, I also feel disgusted. Then I did exactly what KarFei was saying. You turn on yourself, your working mode when you're there. You define that time, and then once you're done, you just close it, no more. And that really struck a little bit more balance in my life. And then it started allowing me to see what are the things I can take control of by deciding that way. Right? And it's super powerful.
100%.
So we have John saying hello. We have Fionn saying yes. Original plan and then now derailed. We have Missy also agreeing to that. Yeah, so a lot of people, we can totally relate. You have your plans and it just went off, but that doesn't mean the end of time. Like what KarFei has mentioned. For those of you who have missed it, there were a lot of things lined up and it didn't go well to plan. But that did not stop him. He turned the other way around. He looked at different ways, opportunities instead on how to move forward, and he seems to be working out a lot more. And he has been very busy, I can tell you that. And he has been doing a lot of things behind the scenes. If you don't already know, if you follow him, you will actually see it like, wow, you don't know how he actually does it, right? But there's a ton of work that he has placed in. And that's why it's so important for you to decide when is your studying work and when you're going to go off, and what are the things that you want to do, prioritize in that bit. One really interesting thing that I came across was these two things from a work organization. There is high performance and there's something called high potential. And for team leaders especially, they can see some people performing really well, but they can also see people who has high potential in this way. Now, how do we sort of do this balance between these two? How do we groom people in the high performance? Some people who are really good at doing certain things, but some people who have like this promise thing with them, but they're just not there yet.
So for me, in this two categories of high performance and high potential, one thing that we need to look at is that, number one, it's when we look at people who are high performance, obviously we can safely assume that these person are delivering the goals, they are delivering the achievements, they're delivering the projects, they're delivering every single thing that needs to be delivered, and which basically means that they have certain experiences, there are certain skills and certain competencies to be able to do those things. So they already have those required, prerequisites in terms of competencies and skills to be able to perform. While on the other hand, high potentials are people that you see that might not have those competencies yet in this present moment, but you see them having the drive to motivation to acquire those those skills and competencies to be able to deliver the work. So one of the things that I talk to leaders about in some of my trainings and so on is that we need to first identify what are your team's motivation to do what they do. What do I mean by that, right? Sometimes we look at someone and we see that, they have the potential to do it. Having potential is one thing. Second, it's having the motivation to fulfill the potential. Some people have the potential, but they don't have the motivation to want to keep going in a corporate job. Their motivation is very different. Their motivation is, I just want to work 1 year in this company to see how working life is. If I don't like it, I'll go and work and travel US, work and travel New Zealand, whatever that is, right? So they don't have the motivation to pursue that potential. So we need to be very, very clear about this. So as a leader, go and talk and understand, your people's or your team leaders' motivation, goals, and inspiration and aspiration about what they want. Then use that to fulfill their potential so that they can become high performer at work, right? So that's how we look at it. It's very simple. Looking at someone who doesn't have the competency and make sure that they are motivated to fulfill that potential, then they will become a high performer. And when I say, motivation, it can be a lot of things. It can be climbing the corporate ladder. It can be money. It can be power. It can be, different reasons why someone would want to do certain things. It is your job as a leader to be able to uncover those motivation. And if any leaders who come to me and tell me that you don't have time to understand your people, then you are not being a man. Then you're not being a leader. You are just being a manager. You are just there to manage resources and not to lead a team. Remember, in any organizations, people, process, profit. That's how it works. In that order, in that sequence.
Wow. Okay. So he basically answered my next few questions already. Right. So very important. Yes. People, process, and profits. If you don't take care of the people, your process is not going to see through, and definitely your profits will be affected. And I really, really love this because that's how I see it as well. And yes, there are people who actually say, I don't have time. So in this case, when they actually say, I don't have time, what would you tell them? Like, they want to do something good. I'm sure they also want to take care of the team, but then they don't seem to find the time because they're themselves caught up with workloads, being busy, reporting, client servicing. And they'll say, I don't have enough time. What would you tell them?
First things first, when you say that you don't have enough time, that just means that you are saying yes to something else. What do I mean by that? Whenever you say you don't have enough time, it's because you say yes to something else that is using your time, which essentially means you are saying no to managing your people. Now, just ask yourself this question. What is the role of a leader? The role of a leader is to influence a group of people towards a common goal. If you can't influence a group of people towards a common goal, then you're not a leader. So if you say yes to something else, maybe the first question that you need to understand is that when I say yes to that thing, that will take up 1 hour of my time, or that meeting that takes 45 minutes to 1 hour and 30 minutes, is that helping me to persuade and influence my team to achieve our goal? If it's not, then you have to move your focus back to what will help you to move the needle. And that is to speak to your team. So that's one very important thing you need to differentiate. Second, whenever people tell me that they don't have time, I understand sometimes you have a lot of things to talk about, and that's the reason why you need to start spending time with your team, because the more you spend time with them, the more time that you will need to spend with them in the future, and the less time that you would need to spend fixing their problems. So you have to start somewhere. And it can be as simple as 10 minutes a week per person, right? I understand. Some of you might be thinking, KarFei, I'm leading a team of 50 people. 50 people, 10 minutes per person, wow. My whole week is gone. Yes, then that it's your role as a leader to be able to create more leaders to do the 10 minutes with other people, right? That's your role. No matter how many people you manage, you probably are not managing 50 leaders. You're probably managing a layer of leaders who is managing another group of people below them, right? That's how the hierarchy works. So train your people who are leading teams to be able to do the 10 minutes per person. You don't need to do it yourself, but you need to have a general. Think about it yourself as being at war. If you are the commander in a battlefield or in a war, do you go and talk to every single soldier? You don't. You get your general to go and talk to them, right? And the general get the lieutenants to go and talk to the soldiers. But what's important is that you need to know what's happening. You need to know the strategy. You need to know the process. You need to know the goals. You need to know what's the action plan. But you don't need to talk to every single one of them, right? But you need to talk to your direct report, which is, as a commander, your direct report could be the general, right? You need to know your general. You need to know who are top 5 generals that you trust, put all your effort in, so that they will then put all the effort towards the rest of the soldiers, right? That's how it works. So don't say that you don't have time. We all have time. We just choose to use our time on something else.
Right. Well, you mentioned 1 and 2. Is there like a follow-up, like 3, 4, 5?
No.
Well, that itself is already very good, right? Firstly is, what are you saying yes to? And then secondly is, are you going to put your time right now and spend a little bit more now so that you can do lesser later, or you're going to do everything later and then spend more time there, right? So that's a very interesting perspective. So as leaders, this is something that we have to think about and really make that conscious decision, and instead of giving excuse, we all make choices in this sense, right? So very interesting. So we talk about, now people having a lot of things, and we are in a moment where people are transitioning. Some people are going back to office. Some people are still at home. I think there's this strategy right now, team A, team B kind of thing. So while this is happening, is this also happening where you are? Could you share some examples where you're helping the teams balancing their performance and their motivation as well?
Actually, it is, and it's in different clients and different places that I'm working with in that sense. So one of the things that I coach as well in a company called Mind Valley, right? So what we're trying to do, we're actually not going with the Team A, Team B model. So what we do is that we encourage. So we stop meetings like in the office, right? There will be no big meetings in the office of more than 4 or 5 people or something like that. And the rest, you have to take it from home. Or outside in your desk or wherever you are, right? So that's what we're trying to do. It's to, really help people to see that it is not compulsory to come to the office, and it is already a culture in Mind Valley that we can work from home anytime we want and so on, right? So we are already a remote first company, remote friendly company in the first place. So that's very helpful. And there are organizations that, like you mentioned, who are doing Team A and Team B, right? So Team A come in this whole week, and then Team B comes in the next week, and then they will kind of switch and work from home kind of thing. That's one strategy that is working. And the second strategy, the other strategy as well, it's where companies are letting them know that everyone's going to work from home until a further notice, until 1st of June, for example, to wait for the whole curve to flatten and all these things. But one of the biggest challenges that I've seen across this different situation, it's two things. Number one, how do we manage and how do we make sure that people are performing to their highest productivity rate? And the second is, how do we manage our workplace culture? Because workplace culture has, for the past 5 to 10 years, because of Google and Facebook and all these Silicon Valley companies, is that our workplaces are very very social. We hug, we meet, we talk. No, we are all working in like open areas, bean bags and open spaces and all these things. And that is bad for the virus, right? This time, right? So that's the two areas that we look at. So the first one is that, I encourage team leaders to really look at this, because there is a difference between maintaining performance and productivity versus micromanaging. And I've seen a lot of leaders are forcing their team by saying that, when you're working at home, that means you are supposed to work from 9 to 6 o'clock. That means from 9 to 6, you are supposed to be in front of the computer. I'm like, come on. Even if the person is working in the office, the person doesn't spend 9 to 6 in front of the computer. They spend more time walking from one place to another place for meetings. They spend more time going to the pantry to take water and chat with their colleagues on the water cooler, right? Those are cooler chats. They call it, it's a science, right? So as a leader, don't force your team to do that. It's just counterproductive, because when you do that, your team will straight away assume that you're not trusting them. There's no trust at all. You are breaking that trust, right? So how do you then make sure that they're productive and so on? It's very simple. Again, 10 to 15 minutes checking every day. Either beginning of the day, end of the day, whatever that works for your team. Just 10 to 15 minutes. And in that 10 to 15 minutes, you can guide your team to just share, hey guys, what have you guys been working on this whole day? And is there any other challenge that you face that you need help from me as your leader? And that builds trust. That makes people perform even better, right? So that's very important. Learn not to micromanage in that sense, the first one. Second one is workplace culture. And this is something that's very interesting. And the reason why I talk about this is because, like I said, workplaces has been created these days and developed and designed. Even office space designs and so on are designed with social connection in mind. And at this moment that we're in right now, social connection is the worst thing that you want to in any places, right? So I was actually speaking to a virologist. A virologist is someone who is expert in all these, viruses and so on. And she told me that, the workplace is going to change for the next years to come. And everything that we believe that has been working for the past 2 years with all these social connections, people coming together and so on, there needs to be a new way to do it. There needs to be more, online presence. There need to be more new online strategy and so on to be able to do that. And I'll be actually talking to her next week about it, on how to manage new workplace culture in post-MCO or post-COVID-19, to see what are her thoughts on this. And to be honest, I actually don't have an answer for that, because a lot of research and science have shown that social connection help people to perform better at work. As simple as that. as much as we say that we are introvert, we work better from home, yes, you definitely have better outputs, but it is not good for your mental health. It is not good for you on a subconscious level because you're spending so much time on your own, in your own confined spaces and trying to work. So then the question is, how do we do that in the next few months? How do we make sure that team are able to perform better without this social connection, right? So that's a whole new thing. I don't have an answer for now, but let's hopefully I'll get an answer in the next couple of days.
Oh, wow. See, again, he answers the question that I haven't asked. Or I plan to ask. But yeah, I think that's something that I find very interesting. And how do we still have that sense of connection, even if we have this sort of a distancing that we have applied. And some people are coming back to office. They may be advised to sit like one table away or a certain distance. I guess that somehow gives a better sense because you can see that person, you can somehow feel that presence even though it's a distance. But for virtual teams, right? For virtual teams currently, how do they still build that social connection with one another? Would you have some ways around it?
Well, there's a couple of things that I encourage people to do. It's number one, one of the things that one of my clients did with her team is that they block out time because all of them have to work from home. So one of my clients, what they did was they actually block out a specific time every single day and call it teamwork day. What does it mean? It's basically on that specific time, let's say 2 to 4 p.m., the 2 hours, they will turn on a online meeting platform and everyone will be there, but there will be no meeting, but they'll just be working. Right? And what that is also means is also that they will also put on their earphone and put on the mic and video. So when anyone wants to talk or wants to speak, you start speaking, right? And just talk. And just as if you are talking in the workplace. That's what we do, right? Sometimes when you're in your team, in our office, right? When you're in your team, you're sitting next to each other. Sometimes when you feel like talking, you will just, hey, what do you think about this, right? You would do that. So why can't you create the same thing online? So and obviously it's very hard to do it online if you try to do it from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's just crazy, right? So what they did was they block it a specific time, 2 hours a day. And that the goal here is actually not just being able to talk. The goal here is just for people to feel safe, for people to feel that, I have these 2 hours that I'll be working together with my team. It's perceived, right? You do it online, not face to face. And that kind of helps. According to my client, they were like, they started bouncing ideas, getting feedbacks and so on. And what's more important is that they felt that in that 2 hours, even if they don't talk, they get a lot of work done, right? And some people say that can prevent people from slacking on their break. I'm not too sure if that's the purpose. That creates distrust. I mean, come on, you can do that 2 hours work on your bed if you are the person that works on bed, right? So that is one strategy. Another thing that we did with my team in Mind Valley is that we decided to do gift exchange. So what we did was that why should we wait until Christmas? Why should we wait until Valentine's Day to do a gift exchange? So we decided that this week, let's do some gift exchange. So we did like name drawing and then send something to someone else just for the sake of doing it, right? And that kind of keep that like, oh, wow, someone cares about me, someone tried to know what I need and so on. That's just something fun. And I see some people having lunch together online. I'm not too sure if that works, but if it works for them, it works, And sometimes, whatever that you do, you can also do it on online, right? Watch TV together online. Have a movie night online. I don't think there's any wrong with that. I have a group of entrepreneurs friends. They run an entrepreneurship mastermind. What they did was I think they did like a entrepreneurship networking party online a few days ago. Wow. Everyone get together online 9 to 10 p.m. Bring your own drinks, drink and talk.
It's like a hangout, just virtual.
Exactly. It's the same hangout, right? You still drink, you still talk. The only difference is the environment.
So very very interesting because we talk about getting people to talk and open up. Then I want to expand a little bit more because there are people who have not done this before, and they've been working just solely before MCO. They just work. It's all about no small talks, all just work performance. You do your job and you go back home. Now come to this part of the world where MCO is, they are forced to now then get together virtually, whether they like it or not, because they have to catch up. But not many people are actually doing conversations. It's still a one-way thing where we get together, the leader comes in, I tell you all the strategies, you guys agree? If agree, okay, dismiss. So how does one, if I'm assuming that your leaders have the intention to build a conversation, start it off to work a conversation with a team of people virtually?
Well, I think this is probably a question similar to what Missy is asking. What if your colleagues are very antisocial and don't want to take part in anything?
Yes.
How to get involved? And again, Missy, I think probably your question is very specific on what's happening right now, remote, online, and so on. I understand there are people who are like that. So maybe tread it very carefully. What you can do is that you can do it once a week, right? The team get together 2 hours to work. Start small, right? So that's important. Or second, if you totally think that all your colleagues are antisocials, they don't like to see each other and all these kind of things, I think then it's even more important for you as a leader to be able to talk to them one-on-one. I highly encourage leaders to talk to their team, especially in this time. In this time of pandemics where jobs are uncertain, e-commerce is tanking, people are very afraid about what's going to happen in their life, in their work, and all these kind of different things. It's very important for you to be able to talk to them one-on-one, right? Not only online before MCO. Yes, even more important to do it, right? So having one-on-one conversation, quick check-ins, 10 to 15 minutes with your team so that you know what's happening in their life. The goal is not to micromanage them. The goal is not to kind of like know exactly what's happening in their work, but more to know how they're feeling. What kind of emotions are they feeling? Are they frustrated with the uncertainty, or are they very stressed because of the additional workload, and so on and so forth, right? So those are very important things that I think leaders need to do. And that is the main reason why Facebook has done an extensive 10 years research on what makes a great leader in Google. It's a 10 years quantitative and qualitative research. And the top 10 things, the first thing that it's number one, what makes a great leader is that a great leader is a coach. What that means is that a coach go and check in with your team on a one-to-one basis and ask you how you're feeling. A coach helps to understand, how are you doing in terms of your work and your life? Is there anything happening in your life that potentially could hinder your performance at work, right? And by doing that, you are able to get people to open up. I know there could be still people who are antisocial, but, just pull that out of them. They will slowly kind of open up with you as well. That's my biggest advice.
Right. Julius is saying, in a team, look out for the elephants in the room. Oh, that's very interesting. Julius, maybe you can share with us a little bit more on that as well. Right. We'd love to hear. And for those of you here who are still with us, we really, really appreciate you. Say hello if you're still with us, or if you found this really insightful. We want to hear more from you. At the same time, if you have any questions in people management, do toss us, because I definitely have questions. I know there are a lot of areas that I want to get KarFei's point of view as well. But we want to hear questions that are relevant to you. Maybe you're in a situation you want to rectify, you want to know, we do have some time. So throw on your questions so that we can help give a little bit more perspectives on things. May not necessarily solve it. So disclaimer, no guarantees that all this may work, because it may be very different for you, but at least you gain some perspectives. You can actually experiment, or you can actually put things into certain trial and error, and you may be surprised. Sometimes just one trial and error brings you to a breakthrough in your communication with a team, right?
100%.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah, communication. There's no perfect thing in communication. If we are expecting for a perfect communication, and that's the reason why people don't communicate, because you don't want to have a flaw, you don't want to look silly. But the thing is, the sometimes looking silly is the way to open up conversations. And that was someone actually told me this. A friend of mine just mentioned that he started off with just saying something very embarrassing. And I realized I put that into practice and I saw the different effects. And I started off with a very simple thing. I told one of my teams previously that I get very nervous before a presentation. So nervous that if I'm in an aircon room, I would sweat. And you can see very clearly my underarms. It's just wet there. And it gets people open up and people kind of feel, hey, it's safe to talk about this. And slowly, one by one, starts sharing a little small thing. And eventually the conversations keep going on. All right. Missy has mentioned that I'm not their team leader. I'm just their colleague. I used to help organize events for company. A bit hard to get most people to mix around with each other. Most of them like to keep to themselves. Oh, what is your thoughts, KarFei?
Again, context is very important, right? Depends who you're working with. I've had experience training, some people who are very, very highly technical, engineers, IT and technology and so on. They are people who are like that. Like, they are just their flow or their performance. They're like, I just want to work. I don't want to do anything else. It's very important for you to be able to communicate exactly, why you do certain things. And sometimes people just doesn't like certain activities or events in company because for them it just seems pointless. Pointless in the sense that, team building again, like what's the purpose? Or, let's do this fun thing. It's like, okay, you are basically telling me take a day to do these fun things and then next week when I come to the office, I have a gazillion emails to work on. Great. So productive, right? So it has to be a very clear objective for events. And you need to look at it from many different perspectives. And based on Gallup studies and so on, yes, social connection is very important for high performance, but social connection can mean very different things. Social connection can be demonstrated in many different ways, right? So it depends on how you want to run the events and the activities that you do. So be very clear about the objective of those activities. Be able to communicate clearly those objectives so that everyone is on the same page. They know why they do what they do and they know what they need to do in order to achieve their objective. So that kind of helps people to kind of like rally other people around. And last but not least, the thing about workplace culture here is that you always need ambassadors. You can't expect you one person bring everyone together, or you that one person with the CEO or the management level to bring everyone together. It doesn't work that way. Top-down approach always doesn't work as well, right? So you need to be able to get champions. I call them champions or ambassadors in different teams, and they doesn't even have to be leader. They can be new executive, they can be HOD, they can be this and that. You pick like 10, 15 ambassadors for the events that you're running. And so they are the champion of your events. Whenever there's communication, whenever there's things that has to happen, they will go around championing your cause for you. And then it will be more effective. That's how you kind of change workplace culture. You can't change workplace culture in a night. You can't change in a month. It takes months to be able to do that.
Oh, very, very interesting. Now that we're going into culture, I think one of the biggest challenges as well is some managers, they know what are the best practices, like what you mentioned, to connect people, but that's not the direction of the business itself or the higher ups. So in this case where they are now caught in between, being pressured that you have to keep pushing people, but they know that they have to take care of people. So how do they balance up themselves in this side, taking care of both up and down and themselves?
If you're in a situation where you have to really push for a lot of performance, and I understand there are industries where there are time when people have to work 10, 12 hours a day, consulting, customer support sometimes, and all these kind of different roles, audits, right? There's peak of in different times, so you have to work till late nights, proposals, and all these things. And that is the reason why I think you or anyone as a leader, you need to understand human psychology even more. At the end of the day, with the right motivation, anyone is willing to do anything, right? So how can you use that human psychology and the right motivation to make people willingly work 10, 12 hours a day for you without complaining. And again, I'm not talking about manipulative. I'm not talking about being manipulative here. I'm not talking about manipulating people. I'm just talking about understanding people. What that means is that fundamentally, people are motivated by two very, very important things. Number one, growth. Whatever that they are doing, they want to grow in terms of their professional skills, in terms of their personal life. What that means is that if I were to put in 10, 12 hours work day every single day for the next 3 months, how can that help me to become better in my life? It could be my relationship, it could be my finances, it could be my quality of life, anything at all. You need to be able to understand that in your team, then use that to your advantage, right? So understanding people's motivation, it's one of the most important thing, right? And second thing that it's very, very important in this situation here, it's besides growth, the second most important thing, it's called significance. What it means is that at the end of the day, we all want to feel that we are important, no matter what we do, right? So as a leader, how can you make different people in your team feel important? How can you show that appreciation and that significance that they have in the team? It can be as simple as, once a week you buy them lunch. Again, don't make it seem like you have to do it. You do it because you have to do it. You have to do it, these are all tips and tricks, right? You have to do it in a sense that it is very natural. It's like, guys, I know you guys have been working hard. You know what? I'm buying lunch. Or, just randomly when you guys are walking out to lunch, you tell guys, I'm buying coffee today. Everyone gets to choose one, right? That makes them feel that they are being appreciated. That makes them feel that they are important, right? And that kind of helps you to be able to push for performance while at the same time maintaining your team's morale, motivation, and gets them to keep going. And again, this is this is more of a disclaimer, right? At the end of the day, people just want to be important. I feel that me working with a lot of my clients, most of the time it's just they want to feel important. They want to feel that whatever that they're doing makes a difference. Whatever that they're doing has an impact. So your role as a leader is to be able to help them to see it.
Wow. Okay, I really want to expand on this even further, right? So we talk about people want to feel important. Now, Yan was saying that there's a dilemma of a manager who is in between, like a sandwich right now. So in a virtual context, how do you make your team how do you make your team feel important right now? I know you talk about like conversations. Besides conversations, having this fun time, is there any other way that a team leader can make them feel important? And this is only one part of the question. I have the second part after this.
How do we make them feel important? To be honest, some things, I think sometimes we are overthinking all these things. And one of the things that helps to make people feel significant and important, and again, there is a research on this. If you guys want to check it out, it's called, it's by Sean Aker, Harvard lecturer, I think, or a professor or something, where he talks about the happiness advantage. And you can make people feel happy by acknowledging and appreciating them for who they are. And what that research has done was that, it helped to boost sales. And that activity is as simple as spend 2 minutes a day writing one appreciation note for one of your team member. As simple as that.
Very, very simple.
And that appreciation doesn't have to also be big things. It can be as simple as that, hey, thank you for the coffee yesterday. Or, hey, thank you for helping me to complete that proposal that was due. It can be as simple as, hey, I really appreciate you for completing, that proposal, even though you have to burn the midnight oil, and work until midnight. It can be as simple as, hey, I understand you have worked really hard yesterday. Why don't you take an hour off tomorrow?
Yeah, that might work.
Really simple, but it helps, right? So that's one thing that you can do right now, and you don't need to be physical. You can do it online. You can do it remotely. You can grab and deliver food for your team.
True. All right. For those of you who are listening right now, do you find that useful? I mean, it's very simple. I think you can even say it's costless, right? Writing a thank you note or just typing down text. It doesn't even cost you anything, but probably just 2 minutes of your life for one person. If you have 10 people, that's 20 minutes, but it makes someone happy. And when they're happy, they tend to be more motivated. So do you find that helpful? If you do find that helpful, type in a comment. Yes, we'd like to know whether this has been useful for you, and if you can put it to practice, even better. So type yes. Again, for those of you who are here with us, like and share this out so that more people know. And because we want to create better leaders, we want everyone else to be able to create engaging teams that they can not just push for performance, but also take care of the people in between, and that's very important. Julius is saying, giving due credits where team members, because they're important. Exactly.
100%.
Every little thing, like even making a coffee, even sending a card, even spending an extra minute with you, you can always thank someone for that. And, a simple thank you like that goes deep to the heart. It creates that emotional bridge between you and the other person. And that's so strong. So yeah, I mean, again, if you find that very helpful, type yes in the comment, share this out as well after this, let more people learn about this. Now, I got a part 2 to this question, right? And if for those of you here who wants to know this part 2, this is very applicable, especially if you feel like you're in a sandwich. We talk about just now taking care of the other person, as in your team members. Now, let's reverse it. How do we make the bosses feel important in this period of time?
That is a super, in my opinion, a really difficult question, because it really depends on the kind of bosses that you have. Are they the micromanaging ones? Are they the more visionary ones? It really depends. And at the end of the day, you need to know what works for your bosses. But a lot of what we need to remember always is that at the end of the day, the top management only wants results, right? Obviously, of course, some of them also say they care about the people and so on, which I also believe that it's true, but it's just that they are also being pressured very much by shareholders, situation that's happening and so on. So I think number one, it's that how do we be able to kind of manage the stakeholder or the bosses and so on, is number one, having clear expectations, right? Lay down the expectations, lay down everything. But obviously, you don't want to come from a point where it feels like you are complaining, right? It doesn't want to feel like you are giving excuses, right? So it's very important for you as a leader to be able to go to your bosses and tell them that, hey guys, like, I understand this is where you're coming from. I hear you. I understand that this is the strategy. This is the thing that we're working for. This is the goals and so on. But this is the reality of what's happening on the ground. So I'm just letting you know that this is what's happening, okay? And we will then work towards the step. And then you give solution, right? Okay, you know what? Although this is a reality, the goal seems a big, like stretch. This is my ideas on solution, how we can potentially get there, right? Obviously, you are not over-promising. You're just trying to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So having that expectation is important. Second, I think one thing that a lot of people don't do well enough, it's actually feedback. What do I mean by feedback? It's not feedback on, hey, I think you're not doing well. Hey, I think, something is wrong. When I say feedback, it means that giving or telling and updating your team or your managers or your bosses about what's happening on a real-time basis. A lot of mistakes that people do in the corporate world is that when the bosses give them instruction, they go to their team, let's execute. They spend weeks or months completing something, and then they go back to the boss, and then they will tell the boss that, hey guys, we've screwed up. And then your bosses will be like, oh my God, why? And all these things. But imagine if those times that you take to complete the whole projects, and within that time itself, you already have 10 checkpoints that you talk to your bosses, you could have gotten resources faster or easier. You could have gotten feedback about what can change. You could have gotten, potentially suggestions or ways to overcome certain challenges that you have by your bosses, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that when you have real-time feedback with your bosses on a weekly basis or like a daily touch point or whatever, that helps a lot on how you are able to make sure that you are performing, your team is performing, and at the same time, your bosses are very much aware. So I think that's one the ways to be able to do it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I hope that answers, for me, that's very clear. I hope I managed to help some people ask their questions. I know some of you are shy. And the reason why I find this really important is because this also applies at home. Especially if you're married, especially if you are living with some significant half, they're your boss, right? And the best thing is, some people think that it's not, they don't want to share everything else. And I'm basically putting this in point of context and getting KarFei to also share that perspective from a professional standpoint, because it's so applicable at home. Imagine this: if let's say your boss at home doesn't know what you're doing, how frustrated that boss is, how insignificant he or she would have felt, because don't know what's happening. And it's not because they want to micromanage you, it's just they want to care, right? So if we put it into different perspectives, your bosses at offices could also be in that perspective. Of course, they set all these visions for you and things, but if they tell you something and only wait 2 months to get an update, if you were in their position, 2 months later only find out that it's not working or it could have been better, how would you have felt? Right?
Yeah.
It's really just turning the things around. Sometimes it may not be that difficult. It may, like what KarFei mentioned, just let them know, inform them, let them have a peace of mind as well. And at the same time, maybe they could have really offer you that help within the next few days.
And they always do, actually.
Fabulous. So are there any other questions from all of us here, especially for those of you who are with us? Yan is actually saying, great advice. Thank you so much, KarFei.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we have Poon saying, align with your boss on the smart approach is the best gift for them. Oh, wow. Very nice. We have Rachel who just signed in. Okay, Rachel, 1 hour later. No worries. You can catch the replay. We've covered so much thing here, even more than what I have planned initially. And thanks to KarFei for sharing generously. And he has also shared his own side of the story, right? It's not always the beautiful things that people are pointing out. I can make a lot of money. I see a lot of opportunities. Opportunities are there, but there are also struggles in reaching to that point. And I thank KarFei for basically sharing that part. Again, that is not stager. He shared it very generously, letting us know that it's actually real. There are people's plans who gets crushed this year, but that doesn't mean the end. You just gotta look out for it, and that's entirely yourself to decide whether you want to do that, right? And yeah. So, any other questions coming from all of you here who are with us? I know some of you here have been with us from the very beginning. I just want to thank you so much. It has passed the 1 hour mark again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Right. Well, as you can tell, this is one topic that we are very passionate about. We love this. I think KarFei and we can go talking about this just hours and hours. But we're not going to do that for you. All right. We got to take care of you as well. And I'm pretty sure his boss also knows that there's a cutoff time.
No, we spend too much time at home.
Which is something. Okay, let's make it a little bit more on your side. Like, how are you spending your time at home right now?
A lot of time, obviously, generally on the weekdays, a lot of work. And actually, to be fair, I've done a lot more kind of like online live and webinars and so on for my clients and for my coaches and so on and so forth. So a lot of work, obviously, because that's just part of our life. But other than that, everything is as usual, right? I wake up at 7:30 still every single morning. I meditate. I have my coffee. The only big difference is I have more time to cook. I have more time to bake, which is not the best thing because everything that you bake has a lot of sugar in it. So that's bad for me. But generally, everything is the same. Nothing much changes actually for me in terms of day-to-day how I live my life. And what I love the most is just the there's no need to drive.
Oh, yes.
That is like a game changer. That really tells us how much we spend on the road every single day. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, Poon is asking when is the next slot, please. Well, I love to have a follow-up session on this, and let us know if this is something that you really want to expand more on people management. Put it in the comment, maybe post to this recording. I'll see if there's a lot of you who really likes this topic and you want to have more of this. Maybe we can even arrange a closed session, between KarFei and a few of us, if that's something that you want. I no promises. I'm just saying this. KarFei doesn't know about this. I'm putting him on the table right now. So yeah, I mean, if you really like, reach out to me. Then we can talk separately. What are the things that we can arrange? And if there's a group of you who wants to actually get to know this, I'm more than happy to work something out for all of you here, right? And yes, I don't think we have any other question. And I don't want to keep KarFei waiting too long on this. I actually only told him that it's 40 to 60 minutes. It's way past that.
Oh, it's fine. As long as everyone's getting value out of it, that's the most important thing. And I really think that leadership, it's a very broad thing. We can look at the science of it, but at the same time, we need to also look at the art of leadership, right? Just like everything, there is a science and there is art, right? So science is theory, science is the logics, but there's the art, the subtle nuances and noises that's happening that helps you to become better leader. I think those are really key, critical factor to help people to become better leader, to be able to lead and perform better in the workplace. So I hope I've added a lot of value to all of you based on my experiences, my sharing with my clients, and so on. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot it to Jeffro, shoot it to me, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere. Happy to help.
Yeah, you can reach out to KarFei on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. Instagram, you'll see a lot of good stuff from him, right? You might get jealous. So disclaimer there first, you might really get jealous of the things that he's doing, especially with the coffee part. Like a lot of things that I wish I had at home. I don't have those coffee machine, and I wish he was staying nearby so that I can just pop by and have a cup of coffee too.
Too far. But yeah, you guys can connect with me on Instagram. Instagram, it's Coach KarFei, basic Coach KarFei. And LinkedIn, you can also search my name, KarFei Chia. You'll be able to get it on LinkedIn as well.
Yes. And if you're interested, he has also a website. It's called theliferedesign.co. You'll learn more about his services as well, on what he actually has done. And maybe something might work for you. I don't know. Check him out. Really, really cool website as well. Right?
Yes, I just launched the website this week. So feel free to, check out my website and see.
So Rachel is saying, what's your Insta again? That's Coach KarFei.
Coach KarFei.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on screen so that you can see that as well. So IG, it's Coach KarFei. Check him out. Lots of good stuff. I promise you will feel jealous. One thing, will feel
just an information. I respond really fast on Instagram. That it's my go-to social media. You can see a lot of my work in my Instagram newsfeed, and you can also see a lot of behind the scenes of my life and my work on my Instagram story. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm learning from him as well. Every other now and then, not just from a professional level, but also at a personal level. So you'll definitely benefit from this. Now, we're gonna wrap up soon, and just one thing for all of you here. If you really find this very valuable, please again share it out. Tag us if you want to, but share it out because people need to know this. It's very simple, instantly applicable tips that you can start doing, and it makes a change. Right? They may take a couple of times to experiment, especially if they've not done it before. But I promise you, if you start doing something like this, you start seeing a shift in your entire energy, the vibe as well. So that's something that I want all of you here to take away. The other thing is, earlier, KarFei was actually talking about, the things that you want to tell your teammates. How do you empower them? How do you invite them to talk? How do you encourage them? I've actually put together one ebook that has 14 powerful phrases that you can use, not just at work, but at home. So if you're interested in that, to get a copy of that so that you can see how you can apply those simple 14 phrases, you just need to type power in the comment and I'll reach out to you. I'll send you a copy of that ebook. You can see how you want to apply it. It's been tested. The things that KarFei has mentioned are also featured in that ebook already. So it's not... Yeah, it's not fake, right? It's something that I've personally used throughout my years of experience. And I'm going to give to each and every one of you here type power in the comment and I'll reach out to you for that. Right, so cool. Now we're gonna wrap up. I just want to check with KarFei. Do you have any words of advice or encouragement for our audience here, especially those who work in teams?
I think my last advice, and I think the most important advice at this time, is that leadership is not visible during good times. Real leadership is only visible during tough times. And at this time, during this whole pandemic, this is the time where you bring out the leadership in you to be able to make your team perform better. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, over, I think 2 weeks ago, I actually wrote a LinkedIn post about my conversation with a few of my clients. And right now, for most leaders and most organizations, the biggest thing that they're thinking about is how to make team perform, right? And that is because a lot of conversations around retrenchment, no bonuses, no increments, cut wages, all these kind of different issues are happening and tough decisions needs to be made. But you know what's important? These tough decisions are not new. Companies has done it before. The world has gone through it before. But what's important is actually the consequences of all these decisions. And that's where leadership comes in. How do you motivate people when people are uncertain about their life? How do you motivate people to perform when they know that 10 of their best friends at work has just been retrenched? How would they think about their life, and how would they think to perform in the company when they have taken 25% pay cut and they might not know how to make more money in the next 1 year? Do you think they have the motivation to perform? They don't. That's where leadership comes in. Your role as a leader is more important in this moment. And I bet you in the next 12 months, things are going to be difficult, but that's where you are able to use your leadership to kind of inspire and motivate and influence people to perform at their best. So that's my biggest advice. It's the best time right now.
All right. Woo! Thank you so much, KarFei. All right. I hope all of you here enjoyed this session. It's been a wonderful one for me, and I hope the same is for you as well. Again, do just give us a shout out post to this session. We're gonna make our move. And until then, we're signing off. Myself, Jeffro, and that's KarFei. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.